Pantheon tier is the final one to see out Season 9 and 9 years of SuperCard. But this video is not going to show you just what's coming up in Pantheon tier, but beyond that, and one massive reveal which, if true, is one of the biggest requested changes and could mark a new era in SuperCard. But first of all, I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name's Main Event Jey Uso. Yes, baby, the first set of Pantheon cards have been revealed, and the first one I want to show you is this beautiful Jey Uso card. I love the Pantheon design, and I also want to say I called it Pantheon. I said back in an old video, which was about this tier, that it could be called Pantheon, and it's called Pantheon. So to everyone who doubted me,
I don't want to see nothing come out of your mouth unless it's, I'm sorry, or I apologize, my tribal chief.
I'm just fooling you. Wait a second, you went away for 2 seconds and there's another Oos. It's the other Oos. It's not as popular, but, you know, I still love Jimmy Uso. It's just, Jay is, you know, I'm sure Jimmy will eventually be as, maybe not. I'm sorry, Jimmy's theme is fire, don't get me wrong, but just saying. And the first hints at Pantheon tier came through last night. The update has dropped. If you haven't gone to get it yet, now is the time to do so. It's live on all platforms as of now. That includes Apple, Amazon, and Google. And the update really do go into a lot of details about what we're going to be expecting in the next month. But before we go any further, I need to know if you're hyped for this brand new tier. Personally, I'm more hyped for this, that especially with what the information I got coming up, man, trust me, than I was for SummerSlam tier and for Myth tier. Myth tier was cool. SummerSlam was, you know, it was great. Twitch drops came back. But the design, the fact that WarGames is changing, yes, that's a big deal. I personally am hugely excited, and if you are just like me, hit that thumbs up button. I want to see some hype up in this video. And if you don't want to miss not only the freebie video, but more, because there's going to be a hell of a lot more coming up, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in the comments down below, let me know who you want to be your freebie from the tier when it drops tomorrow night. I will be live on Twitch, but let's go back to the patch notes, because you can collect mighty WWE legends in the new Pantheon tier, including Jey and Jimmy Uso, LA Knight. Yeah, whoa. I said, yeah, and he just appeared. What's that about, huh, man? That's LA Knight's card, literally right for you. But these people said, let me talk to you, and I'm talking to them, so you gotta just go away, okay? Now, we continue. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins. Shouldn't be surprised by any of these. The Undertaker. But the surprises are now coming in. A brand new revamped WarGames. A special edition Randy Orton card. Icons seem to be dominating the rest of this game for at least September going into October. Maybe this is for the next Battle Pass, who knows? And Halloween cards are confirmed as well, with the already mentioned and hyped up table flip dropping in as part of that. Although it's a good opportunity to bring in Tomb Smasher, but that's just me. If you've already been into the game, you would have noticed this new icon. This shows up if you are in SummerSlam 23 tier or a SummerSlam 23 tier team, where you will see a lion on the next tier logo, and that is the icon for Pantheon tier. We also have the plus icon and plus plus, or what I like to call at this point, endgame icon, where Season 9 will ultimately end. But before Season 9 is over, we've got a bunch of events, including this dirty Dominic Mysterio dropping in WarGames. Sorry.
WarGames!
And you know what? This gives me vibes of Valhalla tier. I love those cards. I love this card. It's fantastic. Well, and you know what's even more fantastic? That Tommaso Ciampa is in that image as well. That's another card revealed, and it's a good image of Ciampa too. Now, if they could just do something meaningful with him on WWE TV, Papa H, come on. I already love you for the fact you got us Jade Cargill today. Don't get me wrong, I love it. And I can't wait to see her in Season 10 and 2K24. But Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, tag titles, please. Especially to get the titles of this dirty dum-dum-dum-dum. Yes, dum-dum-dum-dum. Whatever you want to call it. The guy is a menace, but his event card, it looks pretty special. But what are the changes to WarGames? Well, the first set of changes is there's brand new power-ups. These seem to be taking the place of the Revive and the Re-Energize, which will no longer be available. That's as much as I've read into anyway. The game mode will now just simply have winners and losers, and you can put in up to 4 cards per round. But these power-ups include one which allow you to add 5 cards to the board, helping you in a situation maybe where you've had an extra person knocked out in the last round, and the other one takes a superstar away from your opponent's 3 boards. Just to clarify, just one superstar off of one of the 3 boards. The second thing to change is now there's going to be quadruplers, just like there is in Team Road to Glory and Road to Glory. But the last one is the biggest in my opinion, and this is the removal of the countdown timer, which irks a lot of players, and one of the reasons why WarGames takes such a long time to complete. A lot of players know where to place their superstars, so to have to wait for, 30 seconds plus makes every match more of a slog than it is something enjoyable. But the countdown clock has now been replaced by a very simple proceed button. When you press that, your choices are locked in and the opponent will then play their moves, meaning you can effectively have a WarGames match over in literally next to no time. Whether the points will change, we'll have to wait till the new tier drops. But the last reveal that I have for you today comes in the form of a legend, probably one of the best cards in the tier by far. He smokes the rest of them. It is John Cena, and it is the prototype John Cena as well. I'm pretty sure it's prototyped, and this seems, I hope at least, to be where the Pantheon tier really excels. Hopefully all of the legends that are in the tier have old school throwback images. The likes of The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and many, many more should have these iconic images on their cards to cement them as the gods of SuperCard and WWE. But I'm holding potentially the biggest part to last, and this is relating to Season 10. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, this is the last tier before Season 10 is likely to launch. One thing I've also said in the past is there is no smoke without fire, and it does seem that a lot of smoke is billowing out if you go into the options and go to those WarGames screenshots. Because if you look very closely, there is a Pantheon card in the bottom left. Now, I can't make out which one it is. Could be Gunter, could be, I don't know, The Miz, Noam Dar. I'm just guessing at this point. But it isn't who it is that interests me, it's the stats. These screenshots are adapted screenshots from the previous Help Center, featuring the new Proceed button. And it seems that whoever took these screenshots might have forgotten to take off what the new stats for Season 10 cards are, and I will say this now, don't take this as gospel, this could be completely randomized, but this seems very deliberate. Not to mention, this has probably been in the top 3 things requested of the SuperCard community for the last 6 years. The stat numbers are getting crazy. These cards will go beyond 300 million stats. But where it seems to me that this is legitimately what we'll be seeing a massive stat crunch is that the numbers line up with what we've seen in the past with common tier in Season 1 and Season 2. Just hear me out here. These all look like base stats except for that third card, or the second from the left, The Miz, which looks slightly leveled up or might even be a pro card. But each card from the Luke Gallows, which I can just make out, to the John Cena SummerSlam, to that Pantheon card go up stat-wise as you would expect when looking at different tier cards. So if we go back to Season 1 stats, I'm going to use possibly the most underrated, most technically gifted superstar that never made it to the big leagues, Tyson Kidd. You're looking at the 60s, the 70s for the pros, but maybe 60, roughly around that area is where you would expect to see the common cards as their base stats. To double down on that, this common Season 2, Emma is at 68 to 71, roughly stat-wise. Well, the next tier above, Pantheon tier, probably has cards roughly come in around the 60 mark or higher. Coincidence or not, it looks very deliberate. which means a huge stat crunch is likely at some point, whether it's during Season 10 or when Season 10 launches. Considering the amount of work that Cat Daddy are doing to change things up for Season 10, this wouldn't be surprising. Since I've recorded the bulk of this video, I've worked out how they're going to change the stats if this goes ahead. They are simply cutting off the millions in terms of stat points. So if a card was 230 million, it would keep 230 but discard the millions, which is a lot simpler than I was expecting this to be. But why tell it to you when I can show it to you? This is the Dominic Mysterio card, which is dropping for the WarGames event tomorrow. If this is indeed what they go ahead with, this would be the base stats for that card. It looks like they're also going to be rounding up and rounding down certain numbers. For example, if Dirty Dominic Mysterio's charisma was at 57.60 million, it would change to 58. As it is though, it's 57.42 million, meaning it rounds down to 57. This would also explain why the Miz card is so much higher, as a single Miz card reaches the stats shown in that image. The extra power and toughness is simply because of a manager support being played. One extra thing I noticed is that the support cards have changed as well, which adds more proof to this theory. Is it a reset though? Well, that I'm not sure, but whatever's happening, it certainly seems that your cards will not be disappearing and still will be able to be used, but we could be about to see the biggest change stat-wise that the game has ever seen. And I'm all here for it. If this ends up being complete baloney, then I'll take that on the head. But this just looks too deliberate, just to cover all bases, because some people are going to come back and say, but the other cards in those WarGames images do have higher stats. The rest of the cards are all from old screenshots. They've literally taken one screenshot and added the bottom bit to it. Feel free to go and compare if you wish. Thoughts, as always, in the comments down below. But I have been SuperZomGBBQ. You have been awesome. And I will see you guys for Pantheon tier. I'll be live on Twitch, so make sure you go over there and follow me. Link's gonna be in the description down below. But until next time, peace out.